What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the Collective Clips, where you already know we get it in. In a Manulistana direct fashion, man, we're going to get straight to the content of the day. But before we do, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content I'm kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. We're going up and it's all because of you. So here's a question. What would you do for a homie? Have you ever tested your loyalty? Are you truly loyal to your barrio, your hood, your homeboys, everything that you proclaim to be and what it's supposed to be? Are you truly loyal? You know, some people will go sit down for their homeboys and not say a word and do that. Some people, when they're faced with a certain amount of time, they clam up. Let's get it, right? And some people, it's all bad, right? They're just going to say everything because no, hell no, I ain't going to do 4 months, right? They ain't going out like that. So when you don't really know and you can't really speak on it until you're sitting on that other side of that desk with that detective, man, and you're looking at all that time, what you're truly going to do. A lot of people, most everybody is going to sit there and say, oh, I'm solid. Oh, I ain't the one to speak on. I'm that one. I'm him, right? I'm not going to do that until they say, okay, you're looking at 25. They're like, well, look, it was Mookie, Spooky, and Tukey, right? They're going to just give it up quick. And that's just being point blank and real. Okay, this story that I'm going to talk about are about two friends, two childhood friends, two good homeboys that have a lot of similarities, right? They look similar. They act similar. They had the same idealisms. They were from the same hood. They grew up the same way. So you would think, man, maybe one of them was truly loyal where the other one wasn't, or maybe they were both loyal to each other. I'll let you guys decide. So if you haven't heard the story about Snoop and Woody, Woody's pretty relevant in the rap game, or was at one point in time. Rest in peace to Woody. You know, he's no longer with us. But Woody took fire in the late 90s, 2000s in Northern California, the late 90s. Okay, Woody was that one when it came to Northern California Chicano rap or rap music, whatever you want to call it. And he's known and he has legendary status in the city of Antioch and Northern California, period, right? His music is everywhere. I got his album right here in the back. I mean, I stay bumping Woody. Who doesn't in Northern California? Guys from Southern California are just now finding out how good his wordplay was and how good of a rapper he was. So there's a lot of people that bump him. But there's a big mystery to that man on how he left this earth, right? How he died, and also his story. Well, there's another homeboy of his named Snoop, who's been sitting down for the last 20 plus years behind a crime a lot of people think he might not have committed. What is loyalty, you ask yourself? Did that man really display the characteristics of loyalty, Woody and Snoop? Well, let me tell you. So there was a quinceañera that was held in the Bay Area, right? And at that quinceañera, I've been to a lot of quinceañeras, right? This quinceañera that particular day was known to have a lot of southsiders there, right? Now, this is around the 90s when North and South was vicious. If you're living in Northern California, you already know what it is. Norteños and Sureños were going at it and constantly go at it, continuing to this day. But I mean, that was when the heat was on. It was fucking vicious, right? So supposedly and allegedly, these Northerners found out that this party was popping, that this quinceañera was cracking, and that there was going to be some Southsiders there. Now, previous to this fucking quinceañera, some Southsiders allegedly had shot up the Norteños, right? So these vatos were out for sangre. They were tripping, man. They were hunting. They were looking for people. And when they found out this quinceañera was popping, this young girl was, for those of you that don't know what a quinceañera is, you know, it's a coming of age party in a Mexican tradition for young women. Or young girls, you know, it's kind of their transitioning into womanhood. It's just something that Mexicans do, right? We all have quinceañeras for our children, but there's certain rules and criteria they must follow in order to be eligible for that. So anyways, they're having a quinceañera, and allegedly two guys come into this quinceañera wielding guns, and people get shot and killed, right? Now, one of these guys they identified right off the top. They seen him. He was Mexicano. They knew exactly who he was. He had been into this fucking party previously, so they already knew exactly what time it was. This other guy was very fair-skinned, light-skinned, with reddish brown hair, and he went in there, and he's actually the one that actually did the shooting. So now these guys get away for a while, and the detectives are on their ass. Now, at about the same time, the city of Antioch is on fire, right? There's a lot of North and South incidences, a lot of shit going on, you know, and that's how it was throughout the Bay and the Valley in Northern California. It was constant, man, constant. I remember back in the days, right prior to me going to the youth authority, There was a lot of north and south going on, man. You had to really keep your shit on exorcist, your head on swivel, because you never knew when it could be your day. There was a lot of southsiders from Atwater and Winton that were hunting norteños. You would see carloads of vatos cruising everywhere. You just didn't know who was who and what was what. At that same time, there was a lot of red on red going on, meaning a lot of norteño vatos were going at it as well. That ended later on in years, but prior to that, it was the funk season. When I say funk season and rappers say funk season, it was really fucking funk season. Hey, it was worse than it is now because people were looking for that. Gang banging was prevalent, meaning everybody wanted to do it. Everybody was deciding to get jumped in vadios. Everybody was trying to earn their stripes and prove themselves. One thing about the 90s was the proving grounds and the stomping grounds of the realists, right? So everybody was handling business. There's a lot of guys that are just now in 2024 barely getting out from catching all this time that they caught in the 90s. There was so many fucking murders happening, man. It was left and right in every city throughout Northern and Southern California. They were popping down there too. The vadio and vadio warfare was very, very vicious. So anyways, the quinceañera happens and a couple people get shot. One dies. So now these detectives are on the case of this particular gang, the 22nd Street West Twamps, right? And in Antioch, a very well-known norteño gang, man. I did a lot of time with vatos. I actually went and wiggled out there and kicked it with a few of the vatos. So I know exactly how they were, man. And they had a lot of hitters from that place. You know, maybe it wasn't as big and as well-known as cities like San Jose, San Francisco, Fresno, all these bigger cities in California, Northern California. But they were handling their business, okay? The North and South shit was really popping in the Bay Area like that, you know, which is crazy because in the Valle, we had it going on too. So anyways, this guy Snoop Roberson is his name. He's from that barrio allegedly, right? He gets caught up on a whole different case and he's sitting down in prison. So the detectives, because of the way he looks, because the people described this person who did this killing as very light-skinned and fucking reddish brown hair, he fits the mold. He fits the build, right? So they come to ask him questions while incarcerated. Here's the cold twist. This detective was kind of going hard in the paint. Of course, when he asks Snoop the questions, Snoop doesn't know nothing. Charlie, homie, I ain't got nothing to say. He goes as far as to threatening having him thrown in the hole and everything. I never understood that part of the story. How some detective from the streets can have that much power over the CDC to have you thrown over the hole because you're not answering the questions they want to ask you. That shit ain't cool. It ain't right? Something about that just didn't seem fair. So anyways, he is thrown in the hole because he won't answer no questions because he's staying loyal to the soil, 10 toes down for what he truly believes in. And that's not giving up any information on himself or his homeboys. And believe me, this detective was going hard. So Snoop gets thrown in the hole. He's still doing his time. This detective retires, right? And someone else picks up the case. Now, in the meantime, in between time, here's knowledge you can't get in college. Snoop's getting that date. It's about time to get out. And this is the one thing that goes through every ex-convict's head when he's getting closer to his date. Damn, bro, I hope they don't rearrest me at the gate. I hope they don't fucking hit me with some new charges. What they usually do when you're 90 days to the gate is you have a parole agent that's actually in the facility. You're on their caseload, and they'll usually look up every county, every state to make sure you don't have no warrants. If you do have warrants, they're going to transfer you from that facility to that county jail, and it starts all over, right? You're going to start doing time over there and figure out your case. But 9 times out of 10, if you don't have any charges, man, you're not sweating it, then you're going to get out on your parole date and you're going to live your life. And if you fuck up, that's on you, right? So he's waiting for his date. He's not even tripping on what these detectives said because he didn't say nothing. He stood loyal to the soil, right? So now comes his date and they arrest him at the front door and they tell him he's being charged on a murder investigation. I can only imagine how that feels. His heart must have sunk. You're all ready. You got your parole package. You got your clothes on. You're sitting in that holding cell with a couple Africanos, maybe a Southsider and a white dude. Nobody's tripping. Everybody wants to go home. I've done that and I've played that role plenty of times, man, where you're sitting there. The same guy that you were trying to blast on the yard who was your enemy, you guys are giving frajos to each other at the bus station, right? That's how it be. So anyways, because you're so happy to get out, fuck all that gangbanging shit. You'll start gangbanging again once you get off the Greyhound. But until then, you guys are all for one and one for all. Musketeer shit. So anyways, this guy gets rearrested at the front door, Snoop. Again, it's for that same case that the detective previously had asked him about. And he still stays solid. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, his homeboy from his neighborhood, his barrio Woodie, becomes a rapper and starts to blow up in Northern California. Now, albeit this guy, his reach wasn't all throughout, the country and the world yet, but he was well known in Northern California, right? Now, anyone who's ever had interaction with Woody or met him, as I have back in the days, right, will tell you that he was a solid dude, man. He was about his music, he was about his come up, he was about his hustle, getting to his bag, but he was a norteño first and foremost before any of that, right? And when your mind is indoctrinated and you're ingrained into the gang, but you got other shit going on, that's when you can't serve two masters. That's when you have to make a choice. And that's why I tell a lot of these youngsters that are in the rap game, like Lefty Gunplay, that says, hey, I'm a gangster, I'm a certified stepper, I'm a professional gang member. There's going to be a time and a place where you're going to have to choose what you truly believe in. Just like the movie La Bamba. Do you choose your friends or your music? Davalta said, I choose my family. Right? He had his priorities in check. What he truly and really believed in was his familia and helping them get out of poverty, right? Well, it's the same thing in any type of game. You're going to eventually have to make a choice. Do you choose your music, your career, getting to that bag? Or do you choose your homeboys from your barrio and prison? That choice is totally up to you. I can't make it for you and tell you what is right or wrong. You should be man enough to understand that. So anyways, Woody's doing his thing, man. But he is pushing that, rocking that good rhyme, that gangster music, that norteño music. He has everybody in Northern California hyped because this white boy gets it, right? He's getting it. He's doing it. So, of course, no one looks at color lines when you become a norteño. One of the rules and regulations is you cease to be an ethnicity. You cease to be white. You cease to be brown or black because there's every color within the Northern collective in the movement, right? All you are is a good, righteous homeboy, and if you're solid and you're deemed worthy of the cause, then the homeboys will embrace you with canalismo and they'll have your back. So it doesn't matter about the colors. All it matters is about the content of your character and the type of rhythm you're out there displaying and how you're putting in your work and handling your shit. He was one of them. He was a certified stepper. He had been known to handle his business in his town and for his barrio, but at the same time, he was rocking that good rhyme and the push was behind him. When you're really that one and you're doing it and you're bringing you're shedding light on the homies in a positive fashion, they're going to be behind you 100%. You're going to have some real motherfuckers that are going to back your play. And I think that's where Snoop comes involved, right? So Snoop gets arrested on this charge, to which he's always said that he doesn't know anything about it. He's always played his innocence. Okay, we're talking about 20 years down the road now. So we're talking about Woody having his career, doing his thing, blowing up, and then eventually something went wrong in Woody's mind frame or maybe it didn't. Maybe there's some unusual circumstances. Anyways, Woody was unalived, whether it was by his own hand or someone else. That's always been a mystery, but a lot of people like to throw out there that it was over a woman or a wife that he supposedly had. Anyways, he's gone, okay? And with him, all the good music, the good rhyme, and he becomes a legend. Meanwhile, Snoop gets forgot about. Okay, Snoop ultimately gets convicted on this crime because one of the witnesses says that was drunk at the time that he's for sure that Snoop did it. Now, if you put these people side by side, Woody and Snoop, two homeboys from the same barrio, good homeboys, look at them on this thumbnail, they look pretty similar. And Woody used to look exactly like Snoop. They had the same type of haircut with the tail in the back, which was a Northern California thing back in the days. It was kind of a way to identify North versus South. Whereas more southsiders were bald, skin bald with tattoos on their head or whatever. I'm not trying to judge a book by its cover. I'm just keeping it real on how it was. No added preservatives. Snoop and Woody looked very similar. Them both being Caucasian from this barrio. Only difference being when this witness identified the culprit in this murder, he said they had reddish brown hair. If you look, Woody has reddish brown hair. Snoop has just dark brown hair. Okay? It seemed like this detectives and whoever, they targeted Snoop. They decided that Snoop was the one. And that's what happens in a lot of these cases, period. Once you're under the radar and you're targeted, they're going to be relentless. The district attorney, the cops, they're going to be relentless in getting you because they've already assumed, they've already said, you know what, they put all their eggs in one basket. It's this guy. We're getting him no matter what. So he goes through the motions, has his trial. They testify against him. He's ultimately convicted and gets 25 to life, right? So now he's sitting down. Meantime, in between time, like I said, Woody was blowing up. His music career was going. So he kind of strayed away from gang-related issues. The homies were like, don't trip, bro. We got you. Now, at the same time that this was happening, he had a homeboy named Blackbird, right, who's very well known. He made a song about him. that went through some of the same motions. I did a profile on Blackbird, and his case is an ultimate mystery as well, because there's a lot of discrepancies in the stories of how he met his ultimate demise at the end there. Some people in Northern California choose to believe that he did some wild shit with himself and his children. A lot of other people that are actually from his neighborhood and from that city believe that it was some dirty politics and some dirty games with the cops that happened, some shenanigans happened behind the scenes. We'll never know. You know, that shit is in the past. One thing we do know for sure is Snoop is still sitting down. He's still locked up. Now, a while back, YouTube channel named Killer Chronicles actually chronicled this story, and I reacted to it. But I thought I'd put my own 4 cents in, right? Because what is truly happening with Snoop? He's not getting no action. He went up for an appeal, and I'm going to be cutthroat, fucking totally honest with you, no added preservatives, and tell you what I think. Okay? I think Snoop is one of the most loyal people that I've ever seen in my life. Right? I listen to Woodie's music all the time. He mentions Snoop constantly, and he left subliminals. Within that music, he talked about Snoop could have been him. He talked about how loyal Snoop is, how he'll never forget him. When someone has you on their mind and they know you're sitting down doing time because of them, perhaps, allegedly, right? They're going to feel obligated, man, to keep your name pumping, to shout your name out. Now, with Woody gone now, resting in peace, Snoop doesn't have any of that. It's just him. There is no voice. It's ultimately sad whether he did that or not, right? I don't believe he did. I believe, that maybe Woody and Snoop were misidentified. You got to understand, Woody was known back in the days to put in that work. So let's just take this for instance, and this is all just allegedly. Let's just say that night, Snoop wasn't even there, like he claims not to be, that he had went home, that he wasn't involved in that shooting. And let's just say it was Woody. Can you see where the powers may be, could have got it fucked up and mixed up? It happens all the time. It's called misidentification. Now, we're talking about loyalty here. We know Snoop's loyal, because if Snoop didn't do this and he knew his homeboy did, he's sitting down to this day, solid, has never once gave up the ghost, has never once said anything. It takes a lot, believe me, a lot for a man to do that. Okay? Now, how loyal was Woody? And I'm not trying to taint his name or shit on his fucking career, because let's separate rap music from gangster shit, right? If he did this, is it loyal to have your homeboy sit down forever and you just to shout him out in a few rap songs? Or is true loyalty to step up and say, you know what, my homeboy, my camarada, my partner, man, he's innocent, bro. I'm a real G. I'm going to take that one. One never knows, does one. See, people will get shit talked about him. Hey, you're a rat. You gave up the homeboy. You're not solid. But if you sit there solid, how solid is the one that's going to let his homeboy sit there? These are questions that we must ask, right? So when Woody passes away under mysterious circumstances, right? It's now the year 2021, and there's a rapper named AWAX, right? Respects to AWAX, man. I know people manipulated the game and acted like they were me and disrespected this guy. I have nothing to say bad about him. I like his rap music, right? He's pretty well-known sangre out of the Bay Area who functions and does a lot of business and music with Northerners, Northern California. So a lot of people get the guy AWAX mixed up thinking that he's a Norteño, but he is a sympathizer to the cause. And ran them in them circles. So of course he's going to be around Norteños. That's how a lot of the blacks in the Bay Area are. They fucked with the Norteños since they were kids, man. They got a lot of respect and love for each other. And that's just the way it is, man. The black and brown rock in Northern California. So this guy throws a story out there and says that there was actually a death note written or a letter by Woody that has surfaced before he passed, where he details a lot of his crimes. Maybe he was feeling remorse, or maybe he was finally ready to just put it out there to show some loyalty. And within this letter, he put out there that his boy Snoop was sitting down for a crime which he committed, that he was culpable of that. Okay, why he didn't say this when his homeboy, when he was alive and he could have helped his homeboy out, one never knows, does one. But maybe he had buyer's remorse. Maybe at the end there, he just wanted to get all this grief and all this shit off his shoulders. Too little, too late for someone that's so loyal and so down for you. But hey, anything works, right? Why not? If you're going to be gone, why not see your homeboy, prevail and do his thing? Now, this note that AWAX talked about has never surfaced as far as on social media. And of course, AWAX said that at the time, Woody's mother, his own mother, was in possession of this letter or knew something about it. To which she got on the internet and said, no, that there's never been a no. I don't know. Now, I could understand her not wanting to taint her son's memory, not wanting to put a burden on him, but he's gone now. Okay, he's gone. Does it fuck up his financial, what he's got going on with his royalties? One never knows, does one? I don't know the intricate details into the business part of the situation, but I know there's a young man, not even young anymore. He's now grown older and colder from having the weight of the world on his shoulder, sitting down, locked up, incarcerated, and nobody is helping him. And to me, that kind of just fucking pains my heart, right? I have no horse in the race, but I hate to see a man that I know or I believe to be innocent not get a fair shake, right? All because this guy was a rapper and there was a lot of people behind him. Where the fuck was the loyalty at? You have to ask yourself these questions, right? Now, whether Woody did this crime or not, that they're saying that he fucking said he did, or will this ever note surface? Or this note surface to, to the internet or, just out there that could help Snoop. I believe that if someone is in possession of that, it should. I believe there's a guy that's hoping and praying, who stood real, who stood solid, that should have his day in court and should have his time, should be released. As far as Woody, I don't think his legendary status can be tainted in the rap game. Shit happens. But that's where I draw the line with loyalty, because I've heard it so many times. Damn, that vato's disloyal, bro. That vato told on the homie, man. He didn't want to sit down and do the time for the homie. That's fucked up. But in the reverse side, if the homeboy's so loyal to him, he should take that on the chin for the homie, right? So how can you be considered to be loyal if you're letting your homeboy sit down for a crime you committed? Who's really the loyal one here? Usually it's the reverse state, right? Usually it's the one telling and the other ones are like, damn, this is a solid homeboy. This one right here is a piece of shit. But on the other reverse side, if he holds it down for the homie, I guess that's just part of the game. You got to chalk it up. You know what you got coming, right? Anyways, this has been a mystery. There's a lot of mysteries and I think police corruption and a lot of shit that happened with this case. And I think now is the time for us to know the truth. As people, as people that supported Woody, I wouldn't care either way. If he did do that crime, allegedly, right? It ain't going to change me fucking bumping his song. He's still a Northern Cali soldier, right? I'm still fucking with it. I just, I kind of think like I've had a lot of homeboys that got caught up, crime partners that stood solid and did the time together. And then I've got homeboys that have told on each other, right? At the end of the day, no one ever knows exactly what they're going to do till they're sitting down. And that's just the gist of it. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed it, man. I hope you guys look into the story. Killer Chronicles, he dropped a good video detailing some of the details behind this case. There was a few more things he could touch on. I could tell you in Northern California, it's legendary status, these stories. And it's just something to trip out on, man. Free Snoop. I believe that this guy and his homeboys should get that push behind him. I know he's exhausted all his appeals and all that. But I know that if new evidence surfaces, there's been guys that have been caught up for 30-something years and the DNA got him out, right? If there is truly a death note, man, out there that, exonerates this man, we need to see it. With that being said, I hope that you move with a purpose. Get everything that you want coming. And remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the strive, the struggle, the struggle, the strive. I'm going to continue to do what I does right here on the Collected Clips and maintain, man, like I does. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive and struggle to bring you guys the best possible entertainment I can. We're going to build this channel up and go hard in the paint. It just is what the fuck it is, man. Many blessings. Thank you. Bang, bang.